If you're new to our channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.
We're going to do some Brassica no-till planting.
Sponsored by migardener.com, with over 450 varieties of non-GMO, heirloom, organic flowers, vegetables, and herb seeds, all for 99 cents. migardener.com.
Today we're going to plant brassicas by a no-till method, more specifically cabbage. This bed here, we have had tomatoes in it last year. We had a Florida weave method, so we had 3 rows, 21 tomatoes here. We removed them at the end of the year and we covered all of our beds with leaves. We bring leaves in from the property, from the street, clean leaves, not leaves that have yard debris in them. They're unmulched because we just don't have the time to mulch all of them, which actually gives us a little more time on the spring side because it doesn't break down nearly as quickly. Now by June, July, well, by July, August, all these leaves will most likely be gone and you won't know you've done anything, but it will all have fed the soil. So we covered them with leaves. There are a few weeds coming up here and there, but I'm not going to be too concerned about that. We're going to space these out. This bed is about 3 foot wide by 10 foot long, and we're going to try to get 12 cabbages. Now I've got green cabbage and I've got red cabbage, so they will take about 70 to 85 days to reach maturity. The sun comes up over on this side and sets over there. The cabbages can tolerate a little more shade than other plants, and this is a good bed for that. It will get about 6-8 hours of sunlight before it goes over the tree and goes in the afternoon. So what we're going to do, we're going to take space these out first, and then we'll dig our holes. So in any form or fashion that you're doing this, with the plant starts, it's easier here. You can get a tape measure out and specifically plant them the correct distance that it's recommended. From experience, I know that I can just kind of eyeball it and know how big the plant is going to get. And that's the key to planting anything, especially seeds, like in carrots or parsnips or parsley root or whatever the case is. You want to imagine that plant being fully mature and how much space it needs so it's not bumping in or competing with the adjacent plants you've planted in that row. So we're going to space these out. I'm going to get basically 2 per spot, or 2 rows. So the one thing you want to do, you can just take and lay them out where you want to plant them and space them, because the end result, if everything goes well, you're going to have 18 inches or so. Now if the leaves here are, let's say that's one, here's another. If the leaves are touching, that is actually good because it's going to cover the ground, and weeds like this will be smothered out. Now we could go in here and loosen all these up and try to get the roots and all that, but if I can just smother them and then strategically remove what little ones that are here, that's going to increase for the microbial life in the soil and the time it takes to loosen all this up with a garden fork, and possibly disturbing and raising more seed that are below the soil that would be activated because I did the loosening of the soil with the garden fork. So I'm going to go through here and mark them all out, and then we'll start planting. Okay, so I've got 12 of them spaced just a little tighter than what maybe I should, but I think with the enriched soil, the fertilizer we're going to use, and getting them planted there should be no problem. They won't compete with themselves too much. We'll just call this intensive planting, which is a term that is used instead of planting things at 1 foot. You'd plant them at like 8 inches to cram them in just a little tighter. So let's get these planted. When you're out going to purchase plant starts from your local independent garden center or your big box store, look for plants like this in 6 packs that actually contain 2 plants per cell. I've paid for 6. I've actually got 7. This is cabbage. You can gently tear the roots apart or divide them and plant them. These are healthy plants. They're going to do just fine. So keep that in mind when you're looking for a bargain on plant starts. All right, so you always want to keep in mind how much space you have. Like we've got the poultry fencing here to keep the rabbits out if they do decide to come into the yard. So we can utilize that. I mean, we can't plant right up here because it would interrupt or disrupt the growth of the whatever plant you're growing, but you can come off a little bit and they can kind of grow up. So we're going to take and move the leaves back. Again, we've got a number of inches of leaves here, like 4 or 5 it looks like. and get down to actual soil or garden, then we're going to dig the hole here. There are some weeds here. We can get rid of those. Get rid of those. All right. I mean, it's very moist, so we don't have to worry about like digging more out than what we need. Okay. If you feel like you want to add some compost, you can certainly do that. I am going to add some sustained fertilizer, the recommended rate on the back of the package, to the hole. I'm going to work that in. All right. Now you're going to take your plant start and plant it in the same depth as which it was in the container, so we don't want to bury it up the stem here. But it will look kind of crazy once we plant it and then we cover it up with, bring the mulch back around. It's going to look a little odd, but we're not burying it any deeper than what it was in the container. All right. And just kind of create a little basin here. And that's how easy it is to plant cabbage. I'll get the rest of these planted, and then we'll talk about what we might need to do if we need to water. Now that we've got these all planted, just mulch around them. You can break up or loosen the roots, tease the roots at the time of planting if you feel that they're too confined in the container in which you got them or you grew them. Secondly, you don't want to have a whole lot of dirt around the stalk above the ground level because it can cause some problems. You want to make sure that stalk is clean and bring the leaves around. That's totally fine. So now in the case of needing to water, we've got so many leaves here, so much mulch, it's going to be a while before the soil actually requires watering. You can above ground water. We don't have to worry about soil splash up because the amount of mulch that we have here. A lot of your problems will persist whenever you above ground water or it rains and that water splashes up on the leaves. So you want to try to avoid that. Use a lot of mulch, be really, really good. So planting cabbage, very simple to do. These will get ready in about 75 to 85 days.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.